Today's episode of Ranked Play Strategies, we're going to dissect one of the most powerful gunfight skills. Learning to reset the fight is an imperative tactic in Warzone, and we're going to attack that with the core of the skill set. This instinct is mandatory for outplaying multiple enemies, and it's going to take some practice. I'm going to show you how necessary this is in various scenarios and how to implement this into your gameplay. We are going in depth to talk about timing, the instinctual stop mechanic, cover management, and my personal favorite topic, to becoming the escape artist. This endgame is crazy, and I want to show you how mastering this mixed with tactical game sense can get you out of some spicy situations. So take out a pen and paper, turn up the volume, because my name is SitRep, and in today's situational report, I'm going to show you how to outplay for the win. Repositioning has everything to do with your tactical advantage in a gunfight. And if you're not centered on your target and you don't have intel, or if you're surprised by a team that's pushing you, the best thing that you can do is change your location rapidly. You need to do that by exercising the blind, by using points of cover to break lines of sight against your enemy, and then changing your elevation as quick as possible. Remember, elevation and information is the core to finding enemies, and you have to build that instinct in order to acquire targets more quickly. The best part is surprising them. We are going to drop down to the next level, ego chow the doorway, using the element of surprise. We're going to immediately center on our target, and we're going to take them out. As soon as you have thirsted that enemy, you need to change your location. What? And then we're going to continue to follow the 5 rules of resetting the gunfight, which is retreat, reload, reposition, replate, and then re-engage. And it is very, very important that you learn to balance those 5 skill sets. And it is critical that you build the reposition into all of your gunfights. Repositioning can also be used to stop your teammate from being thirsted. Putting down suppressive fire and lowering yourself into cover is extremely valuable when you're trying to get that teammate back. Remember that an enemy wants that thirst, so you're going to move forward into the cover and put that cover directly behind you while you continue your gunfight reset, rotating away from that firefight and then circling back after you completed all the points of the reset. Throughout the course of all of our gunfights, we want to be using the minimap to find enemies doing their own repositioning tactics, holding choke points, and making sure that we are 100% ready for their retaliation. The idea is we want to put as much cover between us and the push as possible, while also eliminating any intel that they have gotten from thirsting our teammates. The reposition tactic is also extremely valuable in the beginning of the game when you don't have your loadout. It is really important that you do not waste valuable time over-looting your bodies when you are in this situation. We always want to prioritize grabbing a submachine gun and then moving away from that loot pool, because that is the most likely spot that their teammates are going to react to. Always use those audio cues and the indicators on screen to push towards enemies, but don't overstretch away from cover. Soon as you take out that enemy, you have to build the instinct to move to a different elevation as fast as possible. Zip lines will get you to elevation quickly, and then you can then retaliate with your own defense. The challenge is balancing the audio and visual cues to figure out what your next push will be. Sometimes you're going to fall back entirely, or you can provide support for teammates who are trying to get their loot back and providing the next rotation. It is very important that you use the cover management wisely and pick your fights. You can over-challenge and then become very susceptible to being double-teamed. Repositioning in the middle of a gunfight can help you win in 1v1 battles, but you have to remember that that second or third enemy is likely going to push you, and if you're turning your focus away from their flank, you're going to get taken out. Now, this is the most important repositional tactic that you will have to learn, and it is what to do when you die. When you return to the lobby, there is an instinct for you to go back to your loot. This is the most important repositional tactic that you will learn in today's video, and I cannot stress this enough. When you return from your respawn, there is an instinctual desire to go back to where you died, because that's where all of your loot is. And it could not be more dangerous of a strategy, because you don't have information on whether or not your loot is safe. If you look closely at the screen here, I have 2 teammates up there inside the building and factory. I also have a loadout here on the open side of the building, which is also unprotected, and we have no intel. So what you always want to do is the last known position of your threat and then fall back to the outer layer of where your teammates are. And then you can address the threat together and possibly get your loot or fall back to a different avenue if you cannot get your guns back. So if you notice here on the screen, I'm going directly back to the far side of the factory. I'm getting a weapon, a plate, and then I am moving in on that fight as quick as possible. So now I'm able to hold that aggressive push by using the weapons that I was patient in acquiring before the push. Wasn't flying back in with my pistol, and I wasn't blindly landing back on my guns. This is very important that you learn how to do this because you will get in a lot of blenders, especially in ranked, trying to get your guns back. The other thing to consider is that while you are repositioning, you are making a ton of noise, and it is very likely that you will then be pushed based on those audio cues that you are giving another team. It is important that you learn to lock down those sectors and give yourself exits if the fight goes wrong. In this scenario here, just a few moments after we cleared them from the basement, they are once again pushing through the entirety of the center of the building. But because we are patient, we're able to take them out from multiple angles because they're not checking their corners. So you have to be using your awareness tactics and your general game sense that when they're flying in a pack, they feel safe and they're not aware of their surroundings. So make sure that on your exits and your escape routes, you're still checking all of your corners before you blindly push into an area. Outside rotational holds are one of my favorite strategies, especially in ranked, because you can play to the strengths of the circle throughout the course of the entire game. In this rotation here, we're not moving up towards the elevated POI yet because we have an enemy down outside the white line. We are using the tactical advantage that we have, that we are closer to the line and we are preventing them from going where they have to be. When you have the elevation and you are looking at the minimap, I can see clearly that the line is going to force them up into this position. I have two options. I can stand here and hold this position and hope that they don't rotate far away, or we can take the advantage of the information at hand and use the numbers correctly and hold those lines of sight. One of the repositional advantages is being conscious of the fact that you pre-aim areas that give you the most lines of sight and then pre-fire those areas. If you know an enemy has to come through a certain direction, then you need to use everything at your disposal and then rotating towards them with that ego challenge and then sliding out to thirst them from the game. Once again, we are using the gas at all times to help funnel our enemy's position. Like I always say in my videos, you have to be ready for players that are going to use the same strategies against you. So whenever you are now outside the zone and you are moving into that inner circle, you need to watch for those hot zones, which are elevated positions on the white line directly above where you're standing. You need to have an exit strategy to get out of that gunfire as quick as possible, and you don't want to be engaging when you are in an unwinnable gunfight. And this is what I call the nope moment. And you have to be able to tell yourself, I cannot win this fight. I don't have the ammo. I don't have the plates or the positioning to take this enemy out. So you're going to move up and slide into the closest escape route that you have. And whenever you're moving through an area towards the line, you need to have a theoretical plan to escape the fastest by moving towards cover as rapidly as possible. Once you have repositioned, your enemy is not going to give up on pushing you. So you need to think about how are they going to get down to you? How are they going to use their position against you? And in this situation here, it's pretty bad. We're in the lower side of factory, but luckily it is my favorite playground. Now, what's interesting about this particular play, Snake is making a very smart rotation here. He is going up to the high ground and taking the opportunity to get away. I am using a protective tactic while he crosses the road to see if he's going to get shot. I am also anticipating the push based on the shots that I just received from above the tunnel. And as we come down to peek the slide audio cue, we see both enemies, which once again needs to be a part of your reactionary skills. You need to be able to tell yourself, this is not a winnable fight, and I'm not going to be able to take out both of these enemies because of the strict skill-based matchmaking in ranked play. So we're going to put shots on. We're going to immediately move back up the steps. We're not going to get aggressive for taking care of our thirst. and we're going to start to play our positioning and prediction gameplay. Where do they have to go? If you look where we are, we could easily go up the steps, but then that's going to, once again, give them an opportunity to get away. And I don't want that. I know that where I'm standing, they can only come up the staircase that's below this staircase, or they can go out the tunnel at the other side where they shot me from first. So I'm going to hold this position. I'm going to hear the res. So I know that they're up and they're weak. And then I'm going to move to the best possible position. From this position here, I now have a new set of stairs that I can take up immediately, but I am holding all of their rotation out of here from my right or my left, as well as the ladder that they need to climb up to the top here. And this is where framing or holding the center of an opening is the big brain tactic. During their reposition, they're now going to try and rotate because they're panicking in the gas and we are trying to take them out. We are going to use our awareness, and this is now a much better fight. When they had all of their armor and I tried to take them both out when they were downstairs, I likely would not have been able to finish the second kill due to the reaction of the second player shooting me. Now in this scenario here, I've caught them off guard. They've already been knocked. They're in the gas mask. They're burning their stims. They're putting their plates in. And I am framed perfectly in the center, and I'm able to take out the weaker enemy and hit the second. So now I once again have full control of this side of the circle. This is where you have to think big brain when you're coming up to the end of the game. We are now resurgence disabled, and both teammates of mine are up closest towards the high ground. The high ground and the power position on this map is still always and forever will be prison roof. And we have an indicator there and a buy station. So I'm going to move up towards my teammate. Again, the shortest distance in the opening. I have the least amount of open ground between factory and grandma's house. Even though it's in the gas, I'm going to use that to my advantage to rotate and conceal myself through the gas. Both teammates are down, and here's where things get nasty. I have both teammates down. I am extremely low health. I have no gas mask left. I have information that the players that are shooting them are on the roof, and we are outside of zone. So this is where you have to put all of the pieces together. Where do I need to be? What do I need to do? So how am I going to reset this situation? The most important thing that I need to do at this point is get to cover. So I'm going to slide in, and I'm immediately going to take the closest angle that I can to this wall so that I can eliminate their visibility to me and my teammates. I prioritize going to the teammate that did not have a self, and we're sticking them immediately while also taking the moment to look at the mini-map. I'm not trying to play it at this point. We need to get the team out of this terrible situation. And immediately I'm seeing 4 dots. We are in trios ranked, which means there are 2 teams on the roof. And I'm looking back to see that there is still a third team hiding somewhere in the vicinity. Now, by process of elimination, we've learned about the slices of the pie. And if we're on this slice here and there's 2 teams over here, then somewhere on this downside of the circle is the last lurking team. It's a little early to start counting enemies, so we're going to focus on the information that we have, but be aware of that. And we are also right in front of a buy station. Once again, I still don't have plates in. I'm going to finish rezzing the teammate. Meanwhile, Snake has already moved forward into zone, and he is holding the roof while I continue to glue the pieces of my teammate back together and start to formulate a plan. I need to put plates in. I have ammo in the weapon, and then I am immediately going to peek the lowest visibility angle of this roof line, and I am scanning for targets. And I know that this is a hot zone because this is the farthest out an enemy can be, and instincts are correct. I'm able to put shots on him and then get him off the cover. Once I rip him off of that cover, I am closing the gap. And this is not something that is normal for players to do, is push up. What this gives you the advantage of is as players have to exit the elevation of that final circle, they are now free kills as they fall down from the POI. We're looking also that Blue has now rezzed, got his plates started, has a precision airstrike in pocket. And I'll talk about why that's important in just a second. We're going to use our patience here. We're not going to put another plate in because we're in the gas and we're reacting to the audio cues. This is a player that is going for the buy, and that is a very big play whenever you're trying to hold that buy station at the end of the game. Once we knock him, we are now going to move up and check our secondary threat while stimming in the gas, because once again, we do not have a mask. I'm going to use that momentum, jump down towards the buy station, and immediately decide before I even get here what I'm going to buy. I could buy a gas mask, I could buy a teammate, or I could buy and streak to get the best defense as we move down to zone. And the reason I said it's important before is blue had a precision and so did the snake. And a lot of times there is a huge obsession with only using precisions because they are faster to deliver the ordnance to the location, but you will get jammed up and not be able to call your precision in the end game. So what I like to do is buy a cluster. And the clusters are not only cheaper, but they can be used alongside a precision airstrike to suppress the enemy. So I'm going to go here, buy a new gas mask, and then I have enough for that cluster. Unfortunately, blue goes down in the process, but here's an important factor. I'm going to throw this cluster to defend my exit as I go downhill. I was able to get the gas mask in. I am out of stims and I need to get down into zone. If you notice where the snake is, he is in the most open area. So he's in a very dangerous spot. I need to get down and hold his exit. So I'm going to go through the gas, burn the gas mask, rotate down to the bottom and into the bottom of factory, all the way out to the other side, and then stop once I get into zone. I'm stopping here because now that I've fully retreated, I need to replate, reposition for the fight, and get ready to re-engage. Looking at the circle on the final part here, we still have 3 enemies and 2 teams. Snake is coming downhill with 1 or more of them because I still have not found that final team that is likely down here somewhere. So I'm remembering that information during my reposition, and I am intentionally not going to the roof of factory because if I was them, that's where I would be for the final rotation, which is another reason I chose the far right rotation down into the valley between the building so that I could reposition out on this catwalk. I want to provide as much cover as possible as snake drops in, and I'm not able to secure the drop, but I'm able to secure a thirst and even the odds. I'm peeking and I'm not plating because I'm trying to defend snake's position as much as possible. I'm given the call out that he's in the bottom of red roof, but I am quick counting this top corner of my HUD right now. We have 2 solos versus us, and I have 1 visual in red roof, which I'm giving him. Snake takes him out. I'm putting my final plate in, looking at the last known position, and I'm not able to protect snake, but I am able to maximize on his sacrifice and win the game. Ladies and gentlemen, it is extremely important that you learn the repositional tactic and fold your game sense into every facet of your Warzone game, whether you play casuals, regular, or ranked. I highly recommend that you try this tactic out and it will change the way you win your gunfights. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And like I always say, keep building, keep adapting. SitRep out.